The original Final Fantasy VII is one of the greatest games of the 20th century, full stop. So suffice to say, I was a little wary going into this whole concept of remaking it, let alone doling it out in piecemeal fashion like prescription drugs. Well, I was wrong. I don't know if it's just the hype working on me or the fact it really makes me feel like a kid again, but this demo got to me. This, for me, was the point at which the remake went from being something I wasn't sure about to a must-buy. And while you might not think that much could be gleaned from just half an hour or so of initial gameplay, a surprising amount can. So, let's get into it. One, the voice acting. One of my biggest reservations about the idea of the remake was whether or not adding voice acting would screw up the secret sauce. For me as a kid, spending so much time playing games alone, the fact that Final Fantasy VII was all text and no voices gave it the intimacy of a visual novel, terrible localization and all. Could the remake pull off a similar kind, or at least similar quality, of storytelling and not lose some of what made the original special? That was my question. The answer to this bigger question has yet to be provided. But generally, in terms of the addition of voice acting that we see in the demo, I think Square's done a good, maybe the best job possible, with both the casting and the writing.
Wedge. You better be worth the money, Merc. Every last gill.
Now, I personally prefer subs to dub, but this was one of the best localizations that anyone could have probably asked for. Barrett especially has the gravelly gravitas, yet playfulness that the character demands. Meanwhile, Jesse, who I've always had a thing for, is more of a fully realized version of the original, and all the characters, main cast and side, that we see in the demo are faithful to the source material, yet bigger and again, more fully realized.
Still, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. I'm glad to have him.
2. The wider storytelling. So with a modern 3D game, of course, there's more that's been added than just voices. For one, there's camera work, highly detailed models, animations, and a more built-to-scale environment. In other words, there's a lot of room to screw up or even just differ too greatly, or not enough, from the 1997 classic. So how does the demo do? Well, for me, they get it just right. I was really impressed in particular by Cloud's movements and Barrett's facial animations, both of which bear uncanny resemblances to their 97 analogs. The way cutscenes in real time aren't split anymore, but flow together, feels like a genuine improvement in how the overall beats of the narrative move.
I'd say you're not even reading the same book.
Enough. We're done here.
Or even the same...
Give it a rest.
Come on, nobody do something this crazy just for money.
And the Shinra reactor is well scaled up to fit with the new size and aesthetic. One small gripe, or rather worry that I still have though, is whether or not iconic yet small details from the original, once scaled to HD modern levels, won't inadvertently look ridiculous. Like the Shinra helmets, for example. Then again, some aspects now are much more clearly conveyed than they were in the original, like Barrett's vest or Jesse's suit of armor. 3. The music. Here's another wonder that I had going in. Would the inclusion of voice acting and high-octane action diminish the power of the music as the game's primary mode of conveying things like emotion and tone? Well, I may have found myself missing the beautiful and elegant simplicity somewhat of the original score, but there's no question the remake has faithfully recreated the essential character of the original soundtrack. In fact, at the end of the demo in particular, a new version of the Mako reactor theme really synced well with the sequence and got my blood pumping. 4. The combat. Here's what I love the best by far about the demo. This may be the biggest aspect that doesn't just feel like it's couching on the success of the original, because in general, the remake seems to have changed the overall game genre from classic turn-based RPG to a kind of next-gen hybrid of action and RPG elements. A risky move to be sure, but one that seems to me from this to have been made wisely.
Less talking, more shooting.
How about less lit from you?
Now where you target the enemy's body matters, for example. The way I found myself hopping back and forth from Cloud to Barrett and from the tactical menu to real time was damn good fun. It feels like it's harnessed the best attributes from Final Fantasy XIII and XV and put them together. And it somehow works. I never thought Final Fantasy VII would be a super exciting game to play that kept me on the edge of my seat. The original, after all, can be a sleepy, dreamy experience, a more wistful kind of vibe, where you carefully plan your next move before you make it and sit there serenely taking in the cinematics or the story.
Oh, hell! What's it doing now?
An auto repair unit. Damn it. We gotta take it out quick or we're screwed.
Oh, I am way ahead of you, Murphy.
The remake, meanwhile, requires the same degree, it seems, of tactical forethought, yet my brain has to compute these things way, way faster. There's a kinetic energy here where before there was mostly only potential. And the 360 degrees feel of jumping from one character to the next across the battlefield makes it feel like a chaotic zone where a ton of different equally awesome things are happening at once.
We can take this hunk of junk.
That hunk of junk is a heavy weapons platform. If we rush in, we die.
Is that right?
Need to hit it with magic. That should give us an opening. Let's try this. Take the lead.
Need my help, do you? Big man! Hey, how the hell do we fight this thing?
It's got reinforced armor plating, but the internals can be overloaded. Lightning magic.
No other option, huh?
Keep it together.
All right, watch and learn. Gonna make your eyeballs pop. Hell yeah! You see the damage that did?
Keep it up.
Bring in the heat. He's alone. We can take him. Make it. Hey!
You've got this. See ya. It's over. Now, go! Deal with that.
Well, those are my thoughts on the demo. What did you all think? I'll be definitely buying the game's first installment, and I hope to review it as soon as I can. Until next time, boss.